All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to the channel, and today I want to answer the old age question when looking for an SUV, or just kind of debating what generation is the best Toyota 4Runner. Is the third gen really the best generation 4Runner out there? With the newer ones, as expensive they are, but how much, great looking they are, or versus the first gen, that first platform, that first rugged looking 4Runner, which one really holds up the best? And my opinion is the third gen 4Runner because, well, I own one. Now, my opinion might be biased from the fifth or the fourth gen, or even the first to second. But I'm going to talk about why I think the third gen 4Runner is the best looking, the best stood for time 4Runner out there. So let's go ahead and start with, well, the model. So 4Runners usually come in a bunch of trim level packages, from the TRD Pro, and then you have like the Trail Edition. This was pretty simple back in 96 to 2002 when you got these. You had the basic SR5, you had the SR5 Sport Edition, which this is what this is. So this was made in 01 to 02, or you had the Limited, which basically gave you every best option for trim level, from leather seats to full climate control and the matching bumpers. So there really wasn't much of a difference from the 4Runner platform, except for they did change up some of the interior, how the rear locking diff is, I believe, and they phased out the manual transmission, I believe, in 2000. So I could be wrong on a couple of things, maybe by years, but we're here to talk about this 4Runner, and we're going to get some stuff right. So when I got this 4Runner, it was all factory, and now I kind of changed it to this big 3-inch lift platformed vehicle that, still does seem small to, today's 4Runner. So these come with you had two options. You had a 4-cylinder, and then you had the 3.4, which this is what that is. This is a V6 with an automatic 4-speed, pushing around 180 something horsepower and a little over 200 and I'd say 20 foot-pounds of torque. So not fast whatsoever. Merging on the highway can sometimes be a chore, but once you get going with traffic, the flow of it, you're right there with it. So that's the things that, the 4Runner does lack, and performance aspect is the ability to get up and go. There's not much torque or horsepower there. The towing capacity really isn't there to be towing car trailers, but a small lawn trailer, I would say you would have no issue. The other thing that these lack is, gas mileage. I believe all 4Runners honestly have lacked the gas mileage department, no matter what generation you had, but these usually get around 14 to 15 highway to city, maybe combined. I would say after you lift it and add everything that I have, kind of weight wise, you're looking at maybe 13 on a good day. So let's go ahead and pop the hood, and we'll talk about some of the features you got here in the V6. So this is a V6 option. Now, a lot of these, you want to take care of regular maintenance. The 4Runners do have their typical issues, just like any other platform or any other car manufacturer. So the biggest issue with these are the radiators. Usually, if they turn to a green or brown, you want to change them out. And the valve covers, they've always been known to have valve cover gasket leaks, as this passenger side has already kind of started. You can see the moisture there. But other than that, usually as long as you do the proper maintenance, as you should, like the timing belt, you take care of the water pump, the radiator, you flush the coolant, since it's with the automatic transmission fluid, it's tied in. You take care of the oil changes, you shouldn't have any issues. These 4Runners, I believe, a lot of people will say, a lot of people will argue on why they are so valuable and why used ones go for so much, is because the reliability that's held into these. So I would say this one's very reliable. Any third gen, honestly. So the other issues that these usually have, besides the rusted frames, and that was kind of a big thing in the 90s to early 2000s when Toyota introduced a third gen platform as its own platform. The Tacomas as well. You got the first generation of the actual Tacoma, and then the Sequoias and then Tundras. The frames usually had big rust issues. As clean as a body like this one is, maybe like an 8 out of 10, I would say, paint wise. if you got underneath and it was just rust everywhere, it's something that you wanted to stay away from, because no matter what you do, that frame is just gone. So that's one big issue. And another issue that they finally took care of, I believe, later on down as they started to phase this platform out, was the lower ball joints. The lower ball joints had a big problem where they would just fail right away. They would snap, they would break, and there was no telltale signs about it. So as long as you replace them within the mileage that is recommended by Toyota, or doing so, you want to do it with OE parts. So definitely recommend original equipment parts from the dealership, or if you can find it like I did, I found it through a Japan store on eBay. So ran the part numbers and it was OE parts. So when I did the lift, I made sure to take care of everything. So now we got the issues out of the way that these suffer from. Let's kind of talk about the things that you got with a older generation 4Runner. You really don't see that much anymore. So, yep, power antenna, as you can see on that side. Once you start the car, the antenna, it actually functions. So another little secret thing that you got that you don't really see anymore is this little lever here next to the hood latch. Gas door. So a locking gas door. They always have, the locking caps. But you don't really see that many vehicles nowadays with the locking gas cap door, to where you have to access it from the inside of the vehicle to be able to pump gas. Now, all the 4Runners did come with the back window that rolled down. That's probably the most famous option that people look for with these, that people definitely enjoy with these as well. This one also has the sunroof that does it as well. And one thing that I've noticed with the sunroof, this does, it actually, it's automatic, goes back. You don't have to hold it, but if you do it when you close it, you have to go halfway, then halfway, because it stops in the middle. I don't know if that was just a function that Toyota had back in the day, as the newer ones on the 5th gen that we own, you just hold it once or you click it once and it just closes all the way. Another thing that these ended up having was the towing package. So some of these don't have this tow package, but like I said, I really wouldn't go towing car trailers with these. The Sport Edition also did come with the wider body fender flares right here, the front and rear. As you can see, you got the Sport Edition badge still there. There's your power antenna. The matching bumpers, the colored matching bumpers, some of the limited ones I've seen actually still have that steel aluminum look of a bumper, which I honestly am not a fan of. So if I did have one of those, I'd go ahead and switch it out and find a 4Runner with the color match bumpers. Also, a lot of people take these and they'll add just their own custom steel bumpers, so that they put more light pods and stuff on. But another thing that I did like, newer cars usually come with plastic headlights. These are actually retrofitted from a OE equipped housing. So these are the glass with the glass corners, which I do like a lot. But the original headlights, before I switched to the retrofitted ones there for better light output, actually did come as the glass ones as well. So something else that you have right here, you do have the foldable colored match mirrors, which is really nice if you're going through the car wash. A lot of people don't know about these. They wonder what this is for. So this is actually put on from the factory, I believe. So if you're going off-road and it kicks up rocks, it doesn't scratch the paint right here. That's what I've been told, so I could be wrong. One of the other things that people don't know much about are these. These are actually drains for the water, I believe. So it just drains out these little holes. It's on both sides. At first, when I got it, I thought something was wrong. But let's kind of just talk about the design, the sleek design to this 4Runner. The 3rd gen 4Runner, it's, if you had a factory one just as the level without being on a lift, they're not that big. They are definitely a 90s vehicle. I'm 6'2", 215, pretty average, muscle size. I'm not overly big or anything like that. So I still comfortably fit into these seats. So let's go ahead and pop this door open. So I always try to protect the vehicle. This is a daily driver, but I do protect it as much as I can with these. So if I push back on the cover, you see the seat bolster. It's pretty small, honestly, for a vehicle from Japan, though, entering the US. So that was kind of what they had in mind as they updated to the 4th and then the 5th gen that we own. You can tell the difference in kind of how wide the seats are. But as an average, I guess American, if you want to say, I do fit pretty well and comfortably in these seats. These seats are pretty comfortable for long trips, as I do take this vehicle on. So As I mentioned before, this is an automatic. Some of the updated features you got was the 4-wheel drive in this. I believe in 2000 is when they kind of updated it to, you can basically just press this button right here, lock it, and then you kind of still manually shift it. But that's how you set that. And I think this is the locking rear diff. I don't know much about how the diff works on this. I've never really used a 4-wheel drive. Sorry, the 4-wheel drive on this. But some of the other features you got with the Limited, as I said, you got the dual climate AC climate control. With this, you did not. But the thing that you got to kind of replace that is the rear heat, as you can see right there. So this does have rear heated, a rear heat seat, vents below the seats. But in the Limited series with the leather ones, you did get dual climate heated controls as well for the seats. So you got seat warmers with those, which was pretty nice, and a nice upgrade if you can find those in good condition. So talking about kind of going back to the sleek design of the 4Runner, the 4Runner is like the size compared to, you know, newer SUVs nowadays that you see a lot of crossovers. A lot of crossovers are even as big as the 4Runner. But the good thing about this 4Runner, even if it's lifted, it still fits 4 to 5 people comfortably, I would say, depending on the size of like a family or something. It's a great vehicle to drive around, do your daily driving, work commute, going through the city, zero issues. It parks very easy, in and out of parking spots. It's not too long, it's not too big, it's just kind of perfect. And the look of this vehicle, you know, even if it is a factory one, people still kind of tend to, you know, turn their head, or as you guess you could say, break their neck, looking at a 4Runner. At least I do, because I do still look at other 4Runners, and I think, you know, just, you know, especially one that has been taken care of, that is still factory looking, you're like, that's, you know, a really damn good looking vehicle. And overall, I really, really love the setup, the front fascia here. Even though this is an aftermarket Toyota grille, they kind of give it that newer look right here that I switched out for the TRD kind of Pro grille right there with the lights, the Raptor lights it has. But I do like how the fog lights and the blinkers are set up. It's just a really, really good overall looking vehicle. And also in the Sport Edition, I believe you got this right here, this guard. As you can see, I have the aftermarket engine skid plate and all that going back, but you also got this little kind of fancy looking protective metal right there. So if you do take this off-roading, it is a great vehicle to take off-road for beach trips. It's just the vehicle, it's just something really nice and comfortable to take, you know, anywhere. But like I said, it does lack a few things here and there, just the performance. But Toyota did offer for a couple years, you could put a supercharger on these, which I will be doing here shortly for this one, to kind of give it the power that it deserves. Probably modern power to like a 5th gen. I think that's how much you will get out of this. Another few things that it did have from the factory is this wind bug deflector or rock deflector. I've always kind of thought about taking it off, but that is something that did come from the factory, or at least a dealer option possibly. But the sport hood is definitely something that's very, very sought after. I see them go for a lot of money. I know you can still buy the hoods from Summit Racing or Jegs, but they do not have that insert, this little hood scoop insert. The only downside is it is not functional. So it does have the drains on the hood, which is kind of weird if it's not functional, but you know, the drains are there. So I really do wish that, you know, Toyota made for like the Sport Edition, they kind of went with that TRD functionality, but I guess we didn't get that back then. So that's a, you know, it just overall this is a great vehicle to own. It's the reliability is what most people care about. So the aftermarket value for selling this from a factory one or a done up one like this, I still see them go from 12 to 20K easily, and they just make for great vehicles for overlanding and just, you know, your regular daily drivers. So as long as these are on the road and there's less and less, the value will go up. So that's why this, probably in my opinion, why I have, you know, I will give my thoughts on that. Those are what my thoughts are on why the 3rd gen 4Runner is probably the best one and most sought after 4Runner of all the generations, as long as it's been around. So if you're looking for a 3rd gen 4Runner in your area, definitely, and you're curious about it, definitely check out the other videos on the channel kind of talking about it, displaying the build as it went along for the past almost 2 years that I've owned this vehicle. what I've had to do. There's videos talking about stuff to look for maintenance wise. Make sure like what the spot, what is what I would look for to if you find one that's pretty rusted and stuff, I wouldn't go for. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I appreciate you stopping by to check this out. Hopefully this helps anybody out. If you're interested, like I said, check out all the other videos of the 4Runner and any other build on this channel, because I'll have a lot more stuff coming here shortly. Just a video, 1 to 2 videos a week right now. So other than that, I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.